What's up, YouTube? I'm here today to teach you how to do an ollie on your skateboard.
So the first thing you want to make sure you got down is foot positioning. Now for an ollie, it is recommended that you start on the asphalt. Do not start in the grass. Grass doesn't give a good pop. And if you start in the grass, when you move onto the asphalt, you might be a little bit more scared to do ollies on the asphalt, so it's better to start out on the asphalt. So you can use a pebble to rest it in your wheel when you're starting, so you don't move at all when you're practicing it. Alright, so the first thing you want to get down is foot positioning. Now the front foot, it usually wants to be about maybe an inch below the bottom bolts, and you generally want your heel to be hanging off the board by maybe like 2 inches. It's all personal preference. When you learn your ollie, you can adjust it to however you feel comfortable, but when you're learning, it's best to keep it just like this. When you get your front foot down, you want your front foot to be straight and parallel with the trucks of the board. And when it's like that, then you're ready to put your back foot down. And with the back foot, you want the ball your foot just kind of even with the in between the bolts. You want it aligned perfectly to the tail. This is so when you do pop your ollie, you aren't popping it like that or like that, which is not proper ollie technique. Now, the ball of your foot should just perch up there. Shouldn't be too high, shouldn't be too low, but it's just perched, ready to spring into action. When you got your foot positioning down, next step is upper body positioning and knee positioning. Now your knees are extremely important for the ollie. They should be gently bent, not too much and not stiff. If they're bent too much, then you'll have a really awkward time doing it, and if they're too stiff, then you really can't get anywhere because there's no knee bend. So it's best to make sure you have a nice, comfortable squatting position. This is mandatory in skateboarding. If you're skateboarding, you never want to be too low to your board and you don't want to be stiff because something bad could happen either way. So when you got your right positioning down for your legs, it's time to move on to your upper body. Now this is a mistake I see with a lot of beginners, is when they're going to pop, they're kind of turning their shoulders and turn their hips. So when they pop, they're kind of like going like that motion. Which, if you do that, you'll generally like do that, and you won't land your ollie first try. So make sure that when you are doing the ollie, you want to make sure that your entire body is squared with the board. If your body's completely straight, then you should have no problem with this. But if you do seem to notice yourself turning off and stuff like that, just correct it. You do tape yourself and see what part of your body's turning. It can be anything from the head turning to the shoulders turning. Any part of your body that's turning in any direction, your board will generally turn in that direction as well. Now that your positioning is done and your entire body is ready and prepared for the ollie, next step is popping. Popping is probably the easiest part of the ollie. It's all it is really. It's just simply bending this knee and pushing this one down. Nothing very complicated about this. You can just take your pebble that I mentioned earlier, put it in the wheel, and just practice popping. Next step is to pop to the slide. This is probably the hardest part of the skateboard trick, is getting the pop and the slide in the right timing. After you pop, you want to make sure that your foot is not like this, because sliding like that is awkward as hell, and you won't go anywhere. You want to make sure that you turn your foot like that and slide that part of the foot up to the tip. Very important that you make sure that you slide all the way up. If you don't slide enough, then your board will go nowhere and it will just do that. If your foot slides too much, they'll go off, and or you push your board out, which you don't want to do. So just slide and make sure you slide enough. So after you did the slide, time to just practice all of that. Sit here and hop. Hop. Do this 600 times, 700 times, a million times, however much it takes. Once you're like, okay, the pop is pretty freaking easy. Next is sliding. This. Do this for like 6,000 times, and then your muscle memory will be like, alright, this is easy, I can do this. And what an ollie basically is a pop and a slide. So when you get your slide down, you're like, alright, this is pretty freaking easy. Next step is to practice timing. Now there's no surefire way to practice timing other than doing the ollie. So go for an ollie. If your ollie looks like that, or it's like that, then that's pretty good for beginner. If your ollie looks like that. Now, how do you fix the rocket ollie? That. How do you fix that? Well, to fix that, you need to slide up, and when you're all the way up, it's really important they slide. You kind of want to do a little push outwards. So that a board would be like slide and kind of like that. Push outwards and then bend this knee up. It's like a fancy, that kind of motion, like that kind of motion. Now, let's just say that you are practicing ollies and you practice every day for like a month, and your ollies still, you don't know what you're doing your ollie. Your ollie's still like, do that, or like that. Then it's time to take out your old camera and slow motion it. When you slow motion your ollies, you can kind of like see what you're doing wrong with your ollies. If you're doing it right, it should be a pop, and as you're just about to finish popping, a slide, and kind of just like a little oomph out. Take raise this part of it up, and both your knees should bend as you're hopping. Then if you're doing it right, then it should look pretty similar to mine. I'll put a slow motion here. Of course, my ollies aren't really good considering I kind of suck at skateboarding. But as long as your ollies look something like mine, then you're doing something. If you're looking at your video and your ollies are turning something or doing something weird, you're doing something wrong, send me a video, post it on your YouTube, and tell me to check it out, and I'll check it out. I'll comment what you're doing wrong, and I'll try to help you the best I can. But as long as you're doing it, as long as your ollies look something like mine, by no means I'm a good skateboarder, but as long as your ollies look something like mine, then you're doing something right. The only secret I can give you to mastering your ollies and getting them down good is practice. Practice, 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 practice. It sounds like you probably heard this a million times, but practice makes perfect.
Hope you liked the video. If you have any problems with your ollies, link me a video of you doing your ollies and I'll try to respond. If you have any other questions, comment them down below. Like the video if you learned something new, and remember to subscribe. Thank you.